the rough conclusion I get, I haven't read the whole thing, just skimmed it, but it seems to me, and I want to hear obviously your take on things, seems to me that the IG identified personal bias and what I would consider political corruption, but the IG's conclusion is, hey, don't worry about it. What's your take?
Well, I think you summarized it perfect, Graham. I think their comment was, well, you know, political agendas and corruption have existed before and they'll exist in the future. So no harm, no foul. So it's a very mellow yellow findings that we saw today. And to be very honest with you, I was very taken back with my question of the panel in regards to the server. I asked, you know, who reviewed and did they find anything suspicious about the server? And their comment is only one individual with expertise within the FBI actually looked at the server, for example, for unusual aspects and cookies, and that wasn't collaborated with outside sources, which seems very unusual for my takings.
So are you telling me, again, I didn't get to read the whole thing just yet, are you telling me that they essentially gave lip service to that entire portion of what millions and millions of Americans would like answers to, and that is regarding the Hillary Clinton email server and how it was handled, chain of custody, and what transpired with it?
Well, I mean, they allude that there is at least one text message between Strzok that has actually been intercepted by somebody outside of this country or a foreign service that had sensitive information on it. And so we know that that is in the record. And not to go any further to look at, you know, a foreign source co-opting it, particularly when Mr. Comey actually, in his testimony, highlights that they can't say that a foreign source did not co-opt the records.
All right, I want to go to political bias.
It seems very unusual to me.
Political bias. And we have an excerpt from the IG report. I want to read it to you. We did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that improper considerations, including political bias, directly affected the specific investigative actions we reviewed. The conduct by these employees cast a cloud over the entire FBI investigation.
You know, it seems to me like there's no checks and balances within here. This is a report that somewhat placates and covers over the whole aspect, right. And I summarize it best by saying, well, the bias has existed before and it'll exist again. So, okay, that's just the way it is.
And I hate to say this, Congressman, but it sure appears that the fix was in. You know, we've been saying it for many, many months, but this almost confirms it in kind of a backdoor fashion through the Inspector General himself, that the fix was in, that Hillary Clinton was never really the subject of an actual investigation. This was all a charade. And there were many components and many people involved. And Hillary Clinton clearly, to any person who's read the law, violated the Espionage Act, and as you pointed out just a few minutes ago, violated the Federal Records Act, but was held completely unaccountable here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The American people will look at this today and say, yes, there are two types of justice. One for the bureaucrats and the high elites, like Ms. Clinton, and then for the rest of us deplorables, we're subject to guilty until we prove ourselves innocent.
Two things need to happen here, Congressman. I think Congress needs to take a hard look at what it created. That's the Department of Justice and the FBI, and put some reforms in there. And then the other is somehow, some way, these people have got to be held accountable.
Well, what it does, Graham, to me is it tells me exactly that we need to exercise. We've been delayed by Mr. Rosenstein, and we now have to stop cutting to the chase. We need to impeach Mr. Rosenstein, get the records so that we can do our due diligence in front of the American people. And if he doesn't want to give them, then let's have the public display of those records and information in a court setting in the Senate. That way we get a 2-4. We put the Senate to work during the August recess, and the American public can tune in to how do we get our government back and the accountability of justice.
I think Michael Horowitz just submitted his resignation letter. I think he ought to follow this report up with his resignation, because this is a complete and total whitewash. The American people deserve much better than this. Congressman, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.